When the world tells you that you have to pick a side, can you still hear what is true for you? In this episode, we're going to talk about how your level of consciousness really matters. Did I say consciousness? Consciousness really matters these days.
Consciousness.
It really matters, and how you pronounce it really matters too. So, diving into this week's biggie, which will start off a lot of our conversation, is Trump deciding what to do with Iran. Do I bomb? Do I not bomb? Do I do economic sanctions? What do I do? So let's dive a bit into that. And what the heck does that all mean spiritually? Who wants to start this conversation?
I'll begin. Uh, for me, the where I begin and end which is the source of what you're bringing up, is probably going to be how, for me, a lot of what we're going to talk about it's if I don't have that sense of where I begin and end, I don't know what's for me and what's not for me. I don't know why I'm here, or I forget that. Then all of it is going to be just a pure roller coaster. I'm going to be truly living from the inside out rather than the outside in, meaning I'm going to have some up days and then I'm going to have down days. And my sensitivity is going to be on edge because I'm going to go through that roller coaster. So I would say the biggest thing to open up for me is going to be coming back home. Where do I begin and end?
Yeah, I guess what that means to me is to be aware of what my opportunity is in every situation. And the more that I'm relaxed and feeling relaxed, confident, free, uh, with that vibration of being of service. We were sharing yesterday in one of our regroupings, our monthly regroupings that we have for folks that subscribe to the gold memberships and so forth,
Reawaken.
that
Yeah.
reawaken that, my priorities my first priority is to be loyal to myself, which is the theme this month. But that priority fits in with others' priorities too. For example, if I'm at the workplace, at your job, they have priorities there where you work, and I need to be of service. But I always have to come back to where I begin and end, to use those words. In other words, what am I feeling? Make sure that I allow myself just to maintain that happiness, that self-confidence, that inner authority, which is a phrase we use a lot, inner authority. Of how I experience that is I'm just relaxed, I'm enthusiastic, I'm of service, uh, confident is probably the big one.
Yeah. And for me, that picking a side, it's all about choices. And this is just one scenario, the Trump, then it could also be the politics, and
Mhm.
it can be anything of picking a side. And it's escalated to a place these days in the last few years that we all seen between COVID and politics stuff, that sometimes it's hard to recognize where I do begin and end. And so it all comes back to, like you're saying, the loyalty to self, but also the fact that I have to choose, what priority do I want to work with at this moment in time?
Yeah. And you opened with the energy of state of consciousness, the level of consciousness am I at? And, the old saying is, there are no greater or lesser souls. There's just souls at different levels of consciousness.
Of experience.
Yeah, of experience. And the why that is so important to what we're talking about is that whole vibration of pick a side. It can actually be quite supportive. It can be protecting. It can help protect me. It's a great place of security. Is probably the way to say it. But as I grow, I need less security. I need less safety because I already got myself in the right spot. I already have myself organized. So I'm able to be secure in myself wherever I go. So there's less need to pick a side. And yet I still am crystal clear with where I begin and end. I know my virtues and values. I know that I'm moving forward. So a great one, just to put this in a real world thing, is we probably all heard or had experiences where we've had friends who with relationships and there's a breakup. And then it's very normal to pick a side, right? Or if there's a divorce and then it's, oh, okay, are you going to go side with this one? Or are you going to side with that one? Right. And then once you pick a side and it's like, oh, and that person did all these terrible things. And, I mean, it's a great security blanket, right? So same with politics. Oh, this one's, let's pick a side. And then, this one's bad and that one's good, and this one's always a manipulation and these ones are always telling the truth, Of course, none of that is accurate, but,
Yeah.
it helps us have a security blanket. So the need to pick a side, there's value to it. There's value to it if I'm making the grade, if I'm still going through my experiences so that I can gain inner security. And you were talking about in the green room before we get started about a story about, oh, I think this, but my pastor says X, Y, and Z.
Oh yeah, let's go there.
What is going to be my thing? So that's good. That's a good thing because it gives me perspective. It helps me kind of slowly come out of the turtle shell to learn who I am and what I'm expose myself a little bit. But I can say confidently to everyone that as time progresses and there's spiritual evolvement and growth, there's less and less need for reliance on things and people
outside
of myself, and more need to let that what's inside me come out. So I will take what the pastor or the imam or whatever they say into consideration. I'll take what my politician says into consideration. I'll take what my doctor an accountant says into consideration, but it's a consideration. I'm the one who's going to regroup on it. I'm the one who's going to make a decision about it. And that is the level of where we're all going up to, or moving up to, well, we here. But I know for myself, when I'm in that mode, when I'm in that place, everything's all right. Any troubles, any challenges or tragedies, okay, what do I need to do about that? It's that simple.
Yeah, what I hear you both sharing about is there's a concept of security.
Right.
That if I pick a side, the concept is I'm going to be secure within that side, or I picked my team. And that gets really reinforced,
right,
in our environment, right? So, but I notice that when I know where I begin and end, that's when my quote psychic sensitivity really is at full, my intuition is at full volume. I can hear spirit and how to be of service. I pick up on impressions as to what people need, so that I can be more successful and also enjoy myself more. I mean, there's nothing more fulfilling than being of service and working with my sensitivity and, in balance with the intellectual nature I have, where you might say my knowledge or my intellectual, the procedures I can pass along to somebody. I mean, we need both parts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and as we talk about our levels of consciousness, I know for myself, I'm at a place where it's really a blessing, I'll say, to understand, and I feel gratitude to know where people are at. So, like yesterday when we were at the fair and we came across this lovely couple who saw, a little placard thing I was holding about Zach Lane, who's running for governor, who I've talked about before on this podcast because I really like him a lot. And they saw that and they were like, "Oh, interesting. We're contemplating, voting for him too, but there's, we're not 100% certain." And where I'm going with this is as they were going on and on, because they were the ones that mentioned about, well, my pastor last Sunday at a sermon said this. And so they were kind of, going with that energy of what the pastor said.
Well, the fellow said he was very concerned about, what the outcome and where things are going politically, but that his pastor said that God would take care of it, that it's all in God's hands. And what I relate to, and hear Tiger saying is that, there's part of that that's a positive idea, because then if I can utilize that to just relax,
That's right.
Right.
and then I know where I begin and end with it, I'm getting chills on my legs as I share this. So that's the positive aspect. But what I also hear Tiger saying is, as I grow spiritually, I am more self-reliant with with who I am. That, and the old saying, God helps those who help themselves, kind of thing.
Yeah. And so what I was saying is that, when I come across people and I hear what they're saying to me, I recognize where they're at and how I can relate to that.
That's right.
So that's the relatability and the non-judging. And that goes for everybody that I know, the people that are closest to me, the people that I love at afar. Like, it's such a great thing to recognize what state of consciousness people are in that we're interacting with day in and day out.
And I like that because there's truth, there's truth in what he was sharing, and that, there is a bigger picture and spirit's going to back us.
But do you
So
give it all?
stay relaxed. Yeah.
That's the thing that you and I
I just
right?
know what my part is.
Right.
Know now we're back to that, where we begin and end.
That's right. And it's important. I'm going to say this from my own experience and working with many times many people. It is important that you feel you have a tribe. You have teamwork with people. You have camaraderie with people. It's important. I need to be able to regroup, be able to connect with people of like mind. I just need to know that I can move up. I don't have to be stuck in one place. And so, but why I'm bringing up about that part of, I got to find my tribe. I need to have that like mind conversation and regrouping, or partnerships, that where I'm part of something and I feel secure. I'm safe here to communicate, to be myself. That's important, because if I'm at odds all the time, and going back to all these stories that were going on with, like, oh, this and Iran, and that's affecting the economy globally, having all these reactions everywhere. And then, there's the debt, and then there's the tariffs. And, I mean, it's just,
On and on
you
and
would
on.
think that we're having a apocalyptic event, the problem is what Tom, you were saying, is like, the problem is we have that apocalyptic doomsday event all the time.
Yeah.
How many thousands of years have we been dealing with this, So if I don't come back home to that basis of where I begin and end, I'm going to have trouble. And what I'm going to start fighting against my own plan. This is what I was saying earlier. I'm going to fight when I'm having difficulties, when I'm having difficulty knowing my personal direction, when I'm having mood swings, when I'm having depression and anxiety, or I'm feeling great and then I'm feeling down. I need to make a little adjustment. I don't need to throw everything out the window. I need to make a little adjustment to say, wait a minute, why am I here? The time here, for all of you going through your cycles, that every year time goes a little bit faster, right? Then it gets more pronounced as you get older. But I'm only renting here. So what's really important? What do I really intend to be involved in? Because there's no limit to what I can be involved in here. So bottom line is, am I involved in what I need to be involved in? Am I running it from that perspective? And then when people share with me, whether they're a friend or foe, so to speak, I can evaluate that rather than judge it and get all caught up in what's right and wrong.
Mm.
Yeah. And so something that popped in my mind the other day, and as you're talking about this, is how, depending upon where I'm at and where others are at too, there's an aspect of throwing sensibility out the window.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, what makes sense? What we were talking about the couple yesterday at the fair, and about, morals and,
Mhm.
you know, some of the things that come up whenever there's these big topics of politics or Iran or the world or whatever. And so depending upon where we're at energetically. This is why I love working on myself constantly. And when we were going through our regrouping this weekend with the reawakened members, the thing we talked about is how simple it is. It's not a complex thing to work on yourself spiritually. There's all this intellectual jargon out there of it's hard, it's this, and I've got to do these things and this 50 things and meditate 20 hours. No, it's simple. Really, it just begins and starts with what do I feel? And so I really want to, and throwing that sensibility out the window for myself when I'm around people that I can hear and feel that they're kind of doing that. It's interesting because then I can go, okay, what's my pivot and my priorities, and do I need to be involved in that? And I think that's a big key too. And that was part of our home study this month was loyalty and the key energy of this month, and how that comes into working with myself and others that I'm around or come in contact with, like at the fair, at my work, wherever I'm at.
Yeah, and the whole purpose of our regroupings are to help people develop their own sensitivity,
That's right.
through their four, what we call spiritual gifts, prophecy, vision, intuition, and feeling, so that they can communicate with their own spirit guides. I find that some of the techniques we offer, like going to the Sea of Tranquility, it's like I get an insight in like half a nanosecond. It's not like I got to sit there for 30 minutes. In fact, when I try to do that, I usually fall asleep, or I don't really get, the answers come quick. But when I relax enough to regroup my day, see the highlights, see where I could have uh, practiced some more, or I could have done some things differently or enjoyed it more. Um, that's when spirit can give me a quick insight and I go, oh my God, I'm making progress, which gives me that feeling of hope and moving forward. So
Let's talk about that hope
yeah.
and that doomsday.
Yeah, I agree. That's kind of where I was going to go. I wanted to say that to move to that next level, because we're going to address that whole doomsday thing. I mean, we got even the Marvel movie coming out, Doomsday coming up soon, right? And the whole thing. So, the cultural creatives are picking it up early, but to move to that next level, I need to know that I'm an eagle among eagles. And
Is that an eagle thing?
and eagles don't flock, right? Other birds flock, but eagles don't flock. You just see them way up there in the sky, and
They freaking soar.
they're soaring. That's right. And so there's a price for that, right? I'm not in my little group, right? I'm not in my little group, meaning I am me. I come in alone and I go out alone, and no one's going to raise my state of consciousness but me. I can have massive amount of teamwork. I can have great camaraderie. It's wonderful at what we can do here. But in the end, I need to know we've said it before. Other groups have said it's like, I am a God among gods, right? I have all the power within me. So that is the next layer stuff. Can I really make that practical where I get around people and I have these interactions with them? I still want to be a part of the conversation. I still want to be a part of getting what I need, and me being able to share with them fully and completely, but not get caught up in other people's battles, not get caught up in their fears. I can still empathize without sympathizing, right? I can still be a part of the joy and camaraderie without going down to someone else's level, right? So to me, that's the next layer of stuff that's going to address that whole everything's falling apart and it's this apocrypha thing, and oh my gosh, that's so important to know who I am and where I begin and end. And it's a step, to be crystal clear. It's a step. I need to make a full-on step to say, I'm me, and I'm going to fully give of myself in these conversations. I'm going to fully give of myself in my relations, in my work, be of service. But I'm also going to know that only I can raise my state of awareness.
So that moves beautifully into a story I have, because I was watching an episode of Diary of a CEO yesterday, and I've been noticing lately some of the thumbnails that have come up have been about AI and doomsday, AI and doomsday. So this one gentleman came up, and he was all about AI. He worked with AI when it was a nonprofit, when it really was at like the grassroots. And then it blew up quickly, and he recognized this is not where I want to be. And so he now is about really forecasting what's coming. And so throughout the whole 2 hours that I listened in, I was amazed at how he was filled with grief at certain times, especially when they're talking about like the future for his children, or where's society going. There's all kinds of scenarios. We're ending, or we're just beginning, and it's going to be amazing. And then at the end, so I was feeling all this as I was going through, and I really like to emphasize, the feeling part, because that's how I work with a lot of things these days versus just taking it all in and going, oh my God, and just going into that fear
Hmm.
that that's so prevalent in everything, Iran and the politics and this, listening to podcast after podcast. But my feeling as I ended that episode, I was so filled with excitement. And my excitement, I'm going back to the level of consciousness. It's because it's where I'm at, and I'm not no greater or lesser than anybody, but it's my journey and what I put together for myself. And so that feeling of excitement, and I was just like overjoyed, and I was like, whether or not AI kills us all in 2 years, or we live another 2,000 years on the planet with AI and aliens and whatever else, it doesn't matter. I felt it in my whole being, and it felt so powerful.
Yeah, because it's the soul I am now. I always have been, and I always will be. I'm intelligent energy, intelligent light, and I think that's that I'm here to experience what I feel in the mix of like what other people are going through in my relations. And often I've wanted to escape my situation,
Right.
for example, or I either want to escape or I want to sort of, fight it, or yeah, I have in the past, right? But the more that I realize it's an opportunity for me to look at, why am I losing my self confidence? Or why am I losing my inner authority? Or why am I not trusting in this situation my sensitivity? Why am I feeling lesser than in a certain situation? And then, comparably, why am I feeling greater than? Why am I gloating? That's not my true feelings either. So uh, now I go through all these emotions at different times, but at least I go, oh, I'm just practicing. I caught that. I got stimulated by that authority figure. And, but I'm learning, more and more that the here and now with whom I'm surrounded by is perfect for what I came to do or what I came to learn, as long as I regroup and reflect on it, like,
He's surrounded by eagles.
yeah, as
Eagles.
long as I say, well, maybe, yeah, how could what's catching me? What's the concept I have that's, you know, catching me? Like you said, though, it's not like I got to think about it a lot. It's just one step at a time, by the inch, it's a cinch. I guess my final thoughts on that were just that, there's times when I'm relaxed and I do feel like I'm in the right place at the right time, that life's doors open, life's really smooth. And then there's times when, I get stimulated and I'm under pressure and, it hits the fan, so to speak.
So I'm going to keep on this track of the doomsday thing.
Yeah.
Because it's really important. It's really important because so we're moving into a spiritual new year, right? September launches the spiritual new year energetically, right? So we have a calendar year, and January starts the new year.
Mhm.
And then spiritually, though, it starts a little bit before that. It starts in September. So we're kind of wrapping up all of this last year's energy, and we're now getting ready, setting our energy for the next spiritual year. So there's all this allocation of thought, all of this allocation of feeling, all of this allocation of energy that's being set up. So it is important for me to, and I've had a story about this, right? It's important for me to set my energy now, how I'm going to move forward step by step so I can enjoy myself, so I can be happy and free, right?
Mm-hmm.
So one of the keys is if I'm having that up and down, if I'm not feeling that smoothness, or I'm suffering, or there's anxiety or depression or anything that's not the best of me, then in the end of the day, I know I'm rebelling against my plan, my spiritual plan. I'm rebelling against my purpose in life, because my purpose and what I came in with, what everyone came in with, is already inclusive of all of the challenges. It's inclusive of everything. So I don't have to fight. And so when I'm feeling that suffering, when pain goes to suffering, I know that I'm playing a game with myself. I'm working against the river here of what I've set up for myself. Oh, I got caught up in that person's um, problems, or I got caught up in that person's fear, and now I'm afraid. Oh, I'm rebelling against my plan. So, one of the biggest things to this whole catastrophe thing that's coming, or that's here, and AI and all the whole 9 yards, right? It's a game that I get caught up in to distract me. It's a distraction. It's a decoy, right? The hunters use decoys to get what they want out when they're hunting, right? So am I getting decoyed from what I come to do? Because the moment I buy into or start accepting the doomsday is the that is I no longer have the energy to do what I need to do in this moment, to work with that person that's just coming around the corner, to earn that extra abundance that I actually want to earn. It's a 10 times ratio minimum. Minimum. This is remember that in the 70s, I think they did a science thing. I don't think 70s or 80s, but they did this thing where they hooked everybody up to the little dials, and they tracked the amount of energy it takes to do a negative thought compared to a positive thought. And it's like orders of magnitude, right? So it's not like 1 to 2, it's like 1 to 10 plus, right? And it's that same from a simple energy. It's like, how many muscles does it take to smile? How many muscles does it take to frown? That kind of thing. So the other way to look at it is, when I'm decoyed, when I'm involved in other people's stuff, and my energy drops, in other words, I feel like crap, I could have done something positive with that energy, 10 times positive. I could have gone 10 steps instead of the one step I'm dealing with all this crap. I could have done 10 steps to move forward. So that I'm making that point that every time I get involved in something that, oh no, no. How do I use it for my benefit? How do I take this AI thing, which I've been getting into? How do I use that to help, to be of service? And it's amazing. As long as I'll pass the baton here, but as long as I am in charge of what I want to accomplish, I'm not being maneuvered by things out there. As long as I am the creative source of what I want to accomplish and move forward, be of service, then there's no limit. And if we believe that AI is going to learn and take over and stuff, well, then don't we want it to learn from that energy of being directed and creative and being of service? Don't we want it to do that? So the more of us can be a part of that energy, then the more it smooths everything out for this whole, apocalyptic or whatever is going to happen in the future. Well, I seed the ground with all my plan. I seed it with the positivity. Anyway, that's just it's that energy of moving forward based on my needs.
Yeah. So right now, in this moment of time, like we're talking about how we're moving into September, the new spiritual new year. And the key word that comes to me around this is awareness. And it's interesting because this awareness, which goes also back to what level of consciousness are each of us at, because how aware are you of when you're picking up impressions from your prophetic part, or, or spirit, or how are you not aware? So I noticed that as I'm, going through my social media, that people are saying things but are a little bit unaware. So this one person said how every August it's a time when I reflect back. I really dive into what I've been through in the last, and didn't even realize, because then I said, hey, we are coming up to an energetic spiritual new year. There's an energy theme for the new year, and every August is a time to look back in the last 11 months and go, hey, what have I accomplished? What have I, a regrouping is what we like to call it. So it's interesting how being aware of the awarenesses, especially right now, this time frame, because we're moving into a whole new energy starting in September 1st. And so to me, that's important because that, for myself and other people also, being aware, it raises your level of consciousness.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say.
It's, well, it never ceases to amaze me, you might say. One of my favorite expressions, that people naturally work with what the spiritual energy that's happening. I notice in the calendars, the energy calendars that we work with, where it's action energy this week, or it's direction energy, and it's or friendship or family, and I'll just notice people like the action energy. Boy, they're just everything's happening. They're in action. They're following through. Around direction energy, they start thinking about where they want to go, and even if they don't believe in the sorts of things we're sharing, I find they fall right into that wave of energy. So in a way, what I get out of that, or what that means to me, is I can relax, because not everybody has to believe what I believe. I'm aware of the system, that spirit's working with, that for my benefit.
Well, and also your level of awareness.
Yeah.
Your level of consciousness.
That's right. Like attracts like.
Yeah.
We like you, Tom. Hey, Tiger, do you like Tom?
Yeah.
He's a nice guy.
A benefit.
He's a damn eagle like us.
To me, part of the power of that, the regroupings that you're talking about, that those memberships, the gold and reawakened memberships, is allows me to get back to my pivot point and project what it is I want to do going forward. It is a tremendous tool, huge tool. I think going forward for me, and some of the stories and things that have been hitting me, is it's all about, I need to remember that who am I walking toward? Am I getting caught up with the people I'm walking with? People I'm walking with, it's important. But am I focused on who I'm walking towards? Because without that feeling and thought, then what happens is the pool becomes stagnant. There isn't an inflow and an outflow energy. So the people I came to work with are always going to be with me, and I'm going to always be with them, but I always still need to be focused on who I'm walking toward. So this time is a tremendous time to give birth, spiritually speaking, that is. Meaning, am I being creative? Am I starting to share and give of myself? Am I organized so that when people share and communicate and give to me, that I know how to work with that energy, right? In business, I want to share and be of service, but I need to be organized to accept the abundance. I need to be organized to allow that abundance to flow through to all the right spots and invest and all that good stuff, right? If I'm not organized, it just kind of goes in one pocket and out the other pocket, kind of thing. I'm back where I was. So part of giving birth and moving into this next spiritual year is just really saying, hey, I can move forward. I'm going to build something, and I can attract people with me to do it. because I feel, at least in my experience, is I'm going to see a lot more things, all of the goods and bads around. That brings us back to the doomsday thing. I'm going to be able to see all this stuff.
That's a big awareness.
That's a big awareness. But I also need to remember, wait a minute, the planet's been falling apart for 10,000 years, according to the different societies, I mean, come on. So in the end, I have what I'm coming to accomplish, not in a greedy, selfish, leave everything out way, more of an inclusive way. So to move forward, I feel it's all about recognizing where people are at, recognizing where I'm at, being free that they're there. Oh, hey, they're there. That's where they're at. I can still share and work with them where they're at, but I still need to move forward. And that is when someone's around that has direction and has that sureness of what they're doing, who they are. My God, it's a healing for everybody around. It's a powerful thing. I mean, it's like the light of power that comes from that. It's like everything gets attracted to that light. And that just comes from me, you having clear of where we begin and end.
You know what I'd like to do now? I'd like to take a moment and I'd like you, Tiger, just to share the key word of the energy of the new year. And I'd like each of us to tune in and get a feeling for it and
Okay.
share a channeled feeling.
Okay. So the spiritual theme for the coming year, starting in September, is light of power. Light of power.
Well, for me, the feeling I get and the immediate, also get a visual of my light expanding. And I also get a visual of the globe and like pinpointing all of the people, the apprentices and the people I need to collaborate with as a whole unit expanding. So for me, it's a feeling of expansion.
What I can see is the light gets switched on and this has been happening for me already, where I'm becoming aware. Oh my goodness, I'm feeling insecure here, or I feel lesser than around a certain person, or I'm not as confident as I normally am when I'm relaxed and in a positive mood. So it sounds like I'm there all the time, but I'm not. I'm just the light get switched on, or I'm recognizing a thought that I have, a concept I have, like, oh, I've got to find somebody to tell me what to do, or the light switches in the rooms are being switched on. And as I am more aware, and I can see this in society where we're just becoming more and more aware of what's the games that have been going on with politics and UFOs and UAPs and health and all kinds of areas, are being like people are becoming more aware of that. There's going to be, we must be getting ready for something, but there's power in that awareness.
So what do you pick up, Tiger?
There is a song sometimes that we sing at our retreats or camps, and we kind of have these songs that are old songs or made up songs or whatever, and it's just to help us keep the feeling. But one of them is "This Little Light of Mine," and it's a catchy little thing. It's very simple, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. And it goes on to, around the neighborhood, I'm gonna let it shine. You keep expanding it, right?
Uh-huh.
To around the world. That to me, I need to let my light shine. The power is me. The power is what I've come to do. The power is my service. That is the power. I'm the power. And like you said, Tom, I am intelligent light. Everyone is intelligent light. That's not only who we are, that's what we are. And so from that place, there's a radiance, there's a fulfillment, there's an action taking place by me being on my path. That's number one. And then number two for Light of Power, spiritual year, is in that direction, in that focus, in that vibration, so to speak, in that practical way of life comes teamwork. It gives way to teamwork. It attracts support. It attracts people. It attracts my people that I came to work with, and they came to work with me. So it is a combination of making sure that I'm on my path. And if I don't know what my path is right away, then I put it out there. I want to know what my path is. I'm going to practice finding my path. I might fall, but I'm going to keep that immediately puts me into a new energy, right? I stop fighting and rebelling and I start living. So the number one is being the power that I am, being the light that I am, accepting the world as that is, right? I cannot be at two places. I cannot serve two masters or two gods at once. I'm either going to be part of my path or I'm going to be accepting all the doomsday crap out there. Can't do it. Can only be one servant at a time, right? So that's number one. And number two, if I do that, I will naturally team up. I'll naturally find camaraderie and more people that want to move forward. And I'll just want to give of myself. I'll love teamwork. So to me, it's making sure I'm clean and clear where I begin and end, and then teamwork, teamwork, teamwork.
So I feel this is a good place to wrap up, that we, started with picking sides. We started with looking at what's the level of consciousness that each person's working with and how that can be a downfall or an uplift to your life, depending upon where you're at and how you view other people. So let's go around and just wrap up all of that, and then bring it together with the spiritual new year, Tom.
Well, the couple things that really resonate with me today are this being, I'm intelligent like, and everybody else is. And, in my feelings, when I feel that, it just feels relaxed, clear, positive, happy and free. And there's, I don't, no matter how crazy that person's acting or what they're doing, really, that's a soul just practicing. That's a soul discovering who they are. And that gives me a lot of peace of mind. There's an easy feeling to it, of that truth. And then with regards to the new year, and it occurred to me earlier when we were chatting in the green room that, the doomsday thing's been around for a long time. And if you research it historically, you're going to see from previous societies, generations, it's not an it's a concept that keeps resurfacing, and yet we're here 2,000 years later or 10,000 years later, kind of a thing. Nothing is ever, I found, as amazing as people think it will be, and nothing is ever as bad as people will think. So one of the thoughts that people have as well with AI, we're not going to have to work, and there's going to be universal income and all these wonderful things. I have to admit, I'm a bit skeptical about that, because it's probably going to evolve in a different way. There'll be truth in that. There'll be an ease, or we're going to be uplifted. It's going to take some time as well. And on the other side of it, it's not going to be the end of the world either, so.
It never ends.
Yeah.
Tiger, your wrap up.
So similar that
goes on forever.
That's right. That's right.
Road goes on.
Road goes on forever. The party never ends. There's going to be, and is here and now, going to be innovations, breakthroughs, things that are just amazing, just absolutely amazing. Yeah.
Mind blown.
just, I mean, amazing things. And some of that comes with challenges and, possibilities of problems. But for all of it, whether it's the up or the down, whether it's the tragedy or the triumph, all of it is here for me to move forward personally and spiritually, because I can't take any of it with me. That's the reality. That is the big picture. That is what I have to come home to when all is wrapped up and the curtain pulls away and pulls back in, and now the show's over. I'm going to regroup from the perspective of what did I pull together for myself? Not all that, oh, this is going to save me, or, oh, this is going to hurt me. It's all comes back down to how is this all helping me build myself? So that is the key to this, everything out there. And if I ask myself, oh, this news, what is this news going on, or this thing, oh, this tragedy that's happening in my family, or, oh my gosh, this war over here, or, oh, the economy over there, how is this all helping me advance? How is this helping me become more happy and free? Because that's the question. That's where the creativity comes out. Not only is that what's needed for this coming spiritual year, but it's needed for me right now. It's needed for me right now. The creativity of saying, not if I'm going to succeed, it's about how am I going to succeed? How am I going to do that? Not if, how am I going to do that? Everything is here for me. And if I remember that suffering is a sign that I'm rebelling against my plan, then I know how to do something with it. I can say, that's my alarm. Got it. I don't need to do that. I can do something different. And my final point is, I think talking about the Reawaken membership, one of the most powerful reawakening to watch those people go through those subscriptions is seeing people recognize how much power they really do have. That if they feel a certain way or feeling a certain emotion, they're in charge of that. They're actually in charge of their energy. They can do whatever they want with it. They can keep feeling bad, or they can change that. They can feel good and become feeling bad, or they can feel good and stay feeling good. They're in charge of their energy. That is one of the most powerful things. And personally, I got to say, for everybody listening, it is a joy. It is a delight to watch people get that.
Mhm.
And I guess my wrap up for this episode and where we're at right now and in this present moment is a feeling of, again, excitement.
Mhm.
Like there's so much going on and there always will be and always has been. And it's just recognizing that as I work on myself, and that is depends on how people do it, through the Reawaken membership, through, meditation, through just walking in the woods, whatever they're doing to raise their vibration. And then having that clear awareness of how do I prioritize what I need to do and working with others on what they need to do. That to me is a big key. And so my wrap up's kind of simple. And I want to end with one thing. I want to ask Tiger to once again tell us, what is the spiritual theme of the new year starting September?
The spiritual theme of the year, starting in September 1st, is light of power.
Light of power.
Light of power.
So we invite all you listeners out there to take a moment with that light of power and feel into what is that for you. And we'll see you again soon.
What if you didn't have to navigate uncertain times alone? What if you had a steady place to land, a place where your intuition is strengthened, not dismissed, where your spiritual questions are welcomed, and where growth feels grounded instead of overwhelming? Welcome to Reawaken. Reawaken is a monthly membership for people who know there's more awareness, more clarity, more connection, and who are ready to access it in a practical way. Inside, you'll receive monthly life regroupings to realign and refocus, ongoing tools to strengthen discernment, intuition, and emotional awareness. This isn't about escaping the world. It's about becoming steady within it. It's about learning to trust your inner compass. It's about moving from reaction to awareness. And it's about remembering who you are and walking forward with clarity. If you're ready to feel supported, aligned, and spiritually grounded, Reawaken is here. Join us and reawaken the part of you that already knows. To keep the enthusiasm going, please like, subscribe, or comment below. We would love to hear from you.